times throughout my career as an addiction professional, I have been asked the question, is addiction a disease? And my response was always the same, that it wasn't important, and that the only thing that was important was what someone was doing to overcome their addiction. I now realize my ignorance in that being my response, as it's the answer to that question that can very well help break the stigma surrounding addiction that is so prevalent in our society today. According to the American Medical Association, the answer is yes. In 1956, the American Medical Association classified alcoholism as a disease. And then in 1987, the American Medical Association, as well as many other medical associations, classified addiction as a disease. Why do we call addiction a disease? Do we have any House fans in the audience today? For those of you who are not familiar with Dr. House, he's a fictional character in the TV show House, who is often tasked with solving very difficult medical problems and situations. In one particular episode, Dr. House is holding a syringe full of medication that he would like to administer to an unconscious patient. But because he doesn't have that person's permission or the permission of that person's family, and because if he is incorrect, the person could die, Dr. House's team is blocking him from administering that medication. And so he reluctantly hands over the syringe to his team, and he starts to exit the room, and just as you think he's about to, he pulls out a second syringe, stabs it, and they miraculously, immediately wake up. And the whole team says, how did you know that they wouldn't die and that you were right? And he said what he always says, because it fits. And so to answer the question, why do we call addiction a disease? Because it fits. Addiction has all the characteristics of a disease. It's chronic, meaning it never fully goes away. It's progressive, meaning it gets worse, never better when left untreated. If left untreated or mistreated, it can be fatal. I know more people that have died from the disease of addiction than any other cause. And last, it's primary, meaning it was there before anything else. So why are there still people out there that believe that addiction is not a disease? They believe that it's not a disease because they think that it starts with a choice. And so it's important to educate people on what goes on with the disease of addiction. The disease of addiction lies in the brain, more specifically in the limbic system, which is the part of our brain that is responsible for controlling our instincts. There's 4 of them, the 4 F's. Fight, flight, food we all know we have to eat, and fornication. Now, you have all seen the little lizards that run around South Florida, I'm assuming. These lizards operate purely on instinct to survive. If they fight a predator, it's because their instinct tells them that's what they need to do to survive. If they flee from a predator, it's because that's what their instinct tells them they need to survive. They eat bugs, ants, insects, anything. They don't care about taste. It's what they have to do to survive. And we all know they're fornicating. That's why there's so many running around there. Okay. The human brain, when it comes to addiction, works very similarly. Our brain is hardwired to do things that feel good. We have pro-life rewards. When we do things that are pro-life, we have a pro-life reward response, and it feels good. We have these synapses that send out these neurotransmitters to the receptors, and that gets really complicated. And so I wanted to put it into terms that would make it a little bit easier to understand. When we eat chocolate, our so we continue to eat chocolate. We continue to eat things that we like. When we have sex, it gets a little bit louder. Hey, this feels pretty fantastic. We should definitely keep doing this one. So what happens in the brain of an addict when drugs or alcohol are introduced? It's like they stuck their head up to the speakers at a concert and they hear, hey, this feels good, we should keep doing this. And so what happens to the order of their instincts? Drugs become number one. And in that addict's brain, drugs have now become the most important thing to their survival. And so it's no longer a choice, because in that addict's brain, their brain is telling them that the most important thing to their survival is to continue the use of that particular drug. But there's hope, because it is a disease. Like with many other diseases, an addict who seeks help and gets treatment can get better and live a happy, healthy, productive life. Madam Toastmaster.